Okay, I've got the Blade 200 SRX. I have been flying quads for about 2-3 years and wanted to give a try to a flybar-less helicopter. The 200 SRX is flybar-less. It's got a single blade here, as you can see, or actually two, but doesn't have the tandem blades, and it is not collective pitch. So it's supposed to be a good middle ground between a collective pitch heli and a non-collective pitch heli, and a good way to learn to fly helicopters a little better. I have flown this a couple times, and there's a few tricks to it that I'm going to mention in this video, and hopefully you'll get some good out of it. It's definitely different than flying a quad. The stability is a little bit less. Certainly the response time on this one seems to be a little bit less for me. Once you get some momentum going, you have to turn it around because there's no GPS or any sort of hold on it like you'd have with a Phantom, for example. But it's a lot of fun to fly, and I'll show you a couple things I learned. First thing, I tried the original battery without the Velcro on the back. You want to put some Velcro on the back of the battery to make it stick, because otherwise it just slides down. So there's this spot right here. The battery goes in like this, and you Velcro it. It's kind of stuck on there now, and then this little strap goes around and kind of holds it down in place. You got to make sure you get it the right way, and there it is. It's best to just go ahead and take the canopy off when you're doing this. And then the second thing I learned was about the bind plug, which is right back here. You can even see it says bind plug. I did not have that in at first, and I could not figure out why it wouldn't bind with my Spectrum DX6i radio. It's because I didn't have the bind plug in. So I put the bind plug into this slot right back here, and it just slides in. It says how to do it in the instructions. But the big thing is I don't know if I need to remove the bind plug. It doesn't make sense to me. I guess maybe this is if you're going to bind it with a different radio, a Spectrum radio, you need this in it, and maybe if it's a ready-to-fly version, you don't need it. But regardless, I've put it in, and I've flown it a couple times with it in, and it seems to do just fine, so I'm just leaving it in. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and plug in the battery, let it warm up there a little bit. You see the light on the receiver blinking. It means it's in bind mode. I'm going to flip my switch on my radio into bind mode, turn the radio on, and I should be, there we go, now I'm bound. Test that by moving the pitch of the prop back and forth a little bit. Make sure your throttle's down. I'm going to go ahead and you can hear it wanting to go. Go ahead and put on the canopy, which just pops onto these two little sticks that are sticking out. Looks like that's good to go. And then let's take it outside and give it a shot. Okay. Now we're going to take off and see which mode we are in. We're in an easy or a hard mode. Okay, we are definitely in a more aggressive mode. It is not leveling itself. It's kind of going wherever I put it. So I'm going to try and land it. Actually, I'm going to flip this switch. There we go. This switch on the left just took it into the more easy to fly mode. So now I'm flying it in what I believe is the easiest mode. You can see it's pretty stable. You can also see that to get some momentum, you have to kind of start slowing it down before you get to something like a roof or a tree, because it doesn't turn on a dime, at least not in this mode. That's okay, just learning how to fly it. Bring it over here. Hover it a little bit. Now I've got the 120 SR as well, and I will say this thing is more stable than the 120 SR. It's definitely heavier, uses a bigger battery, and so I think that makes a difference in flying it. I'm going to try and turn it around before I hit the house. Back over towards the fence. touch and go here. See if I can land it. There's a nice landing. I'm kind of pulling the yaw to the left as well as the aileron to the left. Now I'm pulling yaw to the right and aileron to the right. Helps it make a tighter turn. Oh, now I'm going towards that fence awfully fast. Yeah, that was a close one. Bring it over here. It's a little breezy out today, so it's definitely being affected by that. I'd estimate the wind at probably between 5 and 10 miles an hour. You can see the trees up there. So my overall impression of the Blade 200 SRX is it's a lot of fun to fly. It's definitely different than flying a quadcopter, but if you've got some quadcopter experience, it probably won't be that hard to pick up, particularly since it has 3 different modes, the beginning, medium, and hard mode. It seems like it's very well built. It does feel a little underpowered as far as getting off the ground, but again, I'm flying it in beginner mode, so maybe maybe it's more aggressive in the higher modes. I did flip it over to the more aggressive modes, and I could see where if you were good at flying it, you could have a lot of fun because it doesn't try to stabilize itself. You can get a lot of aggressive angles with it and do some cool stuff. It is a great step into helicopters. If you're trying to get into collective pitch, it's probably a good starter before you fly a collective pitch helicopter. And it definitely is a different feel than a quadcopter. I can't really explain it. It just feels a little more fluid and not quite as precise, but you learn how to deal with that. I would recommend it if you want to get into flying helicopters, and definitely would check it out.